I just muted myself.
You're good. Go.
What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom and become the rockstar agent in your market. We've got a couple of phenomenal guests with us today. We've got Andy Shear is back with us, multi-time guest and one of our favorites. And we have one of his clients, one of our friends, Heather Windsor, who you may know from the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections group. She's active on that group. And so we're going to talk to her about how she has worked with Andy over the last few months to really change up and shift her entire business from cold prospecting based to more of an attraction based business, and how she's on her way to double her business next year as a result of their work together. And we're going to dive into exactly what they've done and the changes that they have implemented. So we've got a lot of stuff to dive into today. So first of all, the Junior Grandmaster himself, broadcasting from, I don't know, some cold, damp basement somewhere. I know he's under the weather today. Greg, what's up?
I think I'm the cold, damp basement.
Yeah, I think so.
I have been up since 2 a.m. Sick as a dog, but I called Matt and I'm like, I am not letting this show go without me, because he and I have way too much fun, even though he's pissed at me for our show on Wednesday. I think our friendship shall recover and move forward, just like this show is always. But I mean, Heather and Andy are absolutely amazing. I love them both. And our pre-show was incredible, what Heather is doing, and just the way Andy is guiding her. Fascinating. And I cannot wait to dive deeper into that and really grow. So guys, please, as always, the prehistoric writing utensil known as a pen or a pencil, please whip it out with a Hobbit pad and take notes, because as you can see, I am. Back to the show.
That's right. All right. So first of all, let's bring in Heather. And for the people that don't know who you are and haven't seen you kind of active in the group, give us a little sense of kind of where you're at and what your business looked like a couple of months ago.
My business, I would say the first half of 2017 didn't look good. The market changed. It turned into more of a seller's market. Buyers were, writing multiple offers. They weren't getting them. Sellers weren't listing. So the inventory was very low. So I knew at that point that I needed guidance on how to change the way that I solicited business and how to get to that, my goal. My goal is always about 10 million. So I should surpass that this year. So since Andy, and I'm sure Andy's seen my numbers on Facebook, $1 million here, 2 million here. Last month I sold 2.4 million, which in my state, that's a lot for a single agent. So next year, my goal is to double it. And that's why I brought Andy in to help me with more structure, how to run a business like a business and not just random and then just a lot of distractions. So, and he's on me, and I've really enjoyed the 3 to 4 months that we've started working together. So,
and we're going to dive into the specifics of the changes that you guys made. Before we do that, Heather, I'm curious, like you mentioned, just kind of in your market, what is your market? Where are you at?
My market, we are down. I think we're down about 4% overall.
No, I mean, physically, where are you?
Oh, physically? No, I'll close about 10em million.
No, location.
Geographically, where are you, Heather? Where are you sitting right now?
Milwaukee.
Thank you.
I'm at my home office.
Yes. No, I want to know what city the hell you live in. That's what I want to know. 2.4 million. I'm trying to figure out if you're...
people send referrals to you?
I live in a suburb outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So
Perfect.
I live about 30 miles from Lake Michigan. So I work anywhere in that geographic area, in about a 5-county area.
Awesome. All right. So Andy, give everyone that doesn't know you from one of your previous appearances, who the hell are you and why are you
First and foremost, if they don't know me from my previous appearances, they can log off right now. No, but seriously, Andy Shear, Pillar 9 Coaching. I coach to peak performance. So not just business, it's all pillars of life. So I know that we've covered that on previous shows. So if you don't know what Pillar 9 is, go back, watch a couple of my former episodes there. But it's habits, disciplines, and mindsets to help you establish and sustain peak performance, not only in business, but in your overall lifestyle as well. Where people can get in touch with me is obviously Facebook, but you can also go to pillar9coaching.com, or you can like the page on Facebook as well. And it's always great to be here. Always great.
Yes. Thank you, Andy. And we love having you. So, well, because we like giving you a hard time, which is always fun. All right. So there was there was a good question that caught my eye because it's very applicable to what we're talking about. And I think, Heather, we'll actually start with you on this one. I'm going to throw this at you. So Craig Moore, this is from the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections group, says, what's your response to this? Quote, we're not going to relist the home unless we have a buyer. If you have a buyer for, X dollars, give us a call and we'll sell it. Apparently this person, Craig, has gotten like 4 of those in one morning. So Heather, you've done a lot of cold prospecting, a lot of work with expired listings. So if someone gives you that objection, like, hey, look, if you bring me a buyer for X dollars, I'm sold. Until then, I don't want to hear from you. So how do you handle that?
Well, is it a property? If it's a property that I've listed, and knowing this time of year, a lot of people are wanting to withdraw their homes because they're not getting their price. It's not selling. What I typically tell them is actually this time of year is one of the best times to sell, knowing that you're going to get your most serious buyers. You're going to get the law of supply and demand comes into play. There's less supply. So there's going to be more demand. You're going to get a better price with a more quality buyer that does not have frozen equity. Frozen equity basically means that, they have a house to sell. It's going to be just more of a risky offer. And those more risky offers come in spring when people are just tire kickers. They're just looking around. They're not ready, willing, and able to buy. Right now, you're going to get the ready, willing, and able to buy, especially with relocation deals coming through. You just have to constantly counsel them that this is one of the best times to sell. I know that because already, in the last 2 months, I've sold 4 million. So a lot of people, are starting to take vacations, when it comes to real estate agents, or take off, or put the turkey in the oven too soon. This is one of the best times to start prospecting for 2018. So you do get those 10 closings, because Andy knows my goal in January is to have 10 closings set, because that will dictate getting to my 20 million. And so you just got to keep counseling them, whether you got to call them every day, call them every day. They just need the reassurance, just like, at a doctor's appointment, you need to constantly be reassured that, and that's with anything. That's with,
Agreed.
So.
I like that. The more, and we've heard, the typical responses to that, like, no, it's still a great time. There's, the only buyers that are out there are serious, and that's true. But drawing a direct correlation to the tire kickers in the spring, and really refuting that because that works too for we're going to wait to list it till the spring. Like, you can use virtually that same thing for that type of objection. If it's just a general circle prospecting call and you run across that objection, like, yeah, we do want to sell, but we're going to put it on the market in the spring, and use the same that same type of line of reasoning. So I like that a lot. It's really good. Greg, anything you want to add to that?
It's actually something that I've been talking about with a couple of my people, sellers, right now as well. And I went over it with them, and I did almost exactly what Heather was talking about in regards to, hey, this is the time of year when you get your most active buyers, the people who are really going to show up with cash because they have a want, need, and desire to move. One of my clients who we were going to bring on, today's Friday, we were going to bring on Tuesday of this week. She backed out, not because she didn't buy to what I was saying, but she went into it with the understanding that she just had to concentrate on moving herself into her new house, is why we didn't bring her on. But she got what I was saying, and she understood it. But I think the way that Heather explained it is especially very well done. And I think if people can go back and re-listen to the way she phrased that, I think they can get a lot of their clients, if it's in the client's best interest. Let's be clear here. It cannot be commission breath. It cannot be for your own pocketbook needs. It has to be for the client's best interest, to get them to do it during the winter season. Now, I understood why my client is going to be waiting. Chalet is going to be waiting until, I think, second week in February, just so that she can get settled and she has the funds to hold off. So yeah, Heather, I think you did a really good job on that. Andy, now did you guys work on that, or did she come to you with that?
Nah, she took that one by herself.
Nice.
Good.
Heather owning that.
The Lone Ranger. Tonto stayed home on that one. The Lone Ranger took that.
Tonto
So you're the sidekick?
Oh man, that's funny.
Pretty much.
I just can we get a visual art? We need somebody to like draw graphics of what we talk about during the show, because what I need is a caricature of Heather
Tonto.
driving a motorcycle with Andy in the sidecar.
That's
Caitlin
awesome.
Brown, when you listen to this episode, please come up with that graphic. That would be epic.
That's right. All right, so Heather, let's get back to kind of where your business was 3 months ago. So we were talking about it a little bit before we went on the air, but I want you to share with the audience kind of the feeling that you had with just things quite not being in place, just the lack of consistency, the boredom, and just kind of like where were you at? Because I think there's a lot of agents that are in that same area.
Well, I've been in the business. I'm going on my 24th year. So it worked for 23 years. And I just felt like the first and second quarter of 2017, it just stopped. Like the calls weren't coming in. The expectations that I had weren't happening. And, I was doing the work, but it was inconsistent. And so I knew at that time that I'm like, I'm not even going to make the President's Club. I'm not even going to sell 5 million. I mean, and I've never not sold 5 million. My first year in the business, I sold 7 million in 1996. And I was Rookie of the Year. So I was really starting to get bummed. So that's when I contacted Andy and I said, Andy, I think I'm getting closer where I need to get some more consistency, some more structure in my life. And he's been so helpful. And Andy, I did laminate those 2 pages that you sent me, and then looking at them right now, and I read them every day on just like a schedule. And that's what I need. I need somebody basically to tell me what to do, how long I should take to do it. And it's working. I mean, it's working. So I would say I started to really pick up in July. And then August, September, October, even November was awesome. So all in that time, I think I closed about 6 million. So that's pretty exciting. And
laminate. So Heather, what did you actually laminate to keep you accountable that Andy put down for you?
Yeah, him and I talk weekly, well, mostly weekly, because I am getting so busy. Andy's keeping me busy. But he sent me basically, okay, this is the times that you need to work on your expireds. Give yourself an hour to do that. Give yourself an hour to, and Andy, the list is over there. If you want to add on to this, go ahead.
It was a long ass email, guys.
It was a long ass email.
So we have
I could get up.
Did we do any kind of mindset? Did we do
it.
morning routines? Did we do specific actions besides, just, the rudimentary, like the basics, day-to-day in and out stuff? I mean, is it mindset,
Exactly.
reading?
So yes. And basically there's a lot of mindset that's behind it. And you guys know that I'm huge on bookending, right? So morning routines and evening routines to set yourself up for success in spite of all the uncontrollable. Like I coach to that, I think more so with all of my clients than anything else. So, I could care less on when somebody wakes up. I could care less on when somebody goes to sleep. It really truly doesn't matter to me. I can't dictate how much sleep somebody needs or how much time that's going to take somebody. That's just efficiency and how your body works, right? So getting in that morning routine, I know that you have to do something for becoming a student of yourself. I know that you have to do something to actually practice and get better. I know that you have to do something for being intentional and planning out the next day or planning out your current day. I know that, obviously you have to get into lead generation. You have to have CEO time on your business. You have to have lead follow-up time. You have to have negotiations, appointments. All of that stuff goes into what was in that probably 2-page email that I sent to Heather after one of our conversations. And it was it was more so a recap of our entire conversation, just broken down to bite-sized chunks that she could just visually look at and say, okay, this is where I need to be. I know that it's an hour a day of experience, or it's an hour a day of me becoming a student of myself, or it's an hour a day of, or a half hour a day of journaling or meditation or whatever. And where this is going to fit in my day, I'm going to find that out when I lay out my next day.
And Andy, in our talks, he's got to know my schedule and when I shut on, when I shut down. And so that's what he kind of incorporated in this list. Okay, so you wake up at 6. This is what you do. You take your 20 minutes, to get your coffee, get your kids started, and then you go right into it. You dive right into the business, because from 6 to 6, I'm solid. I'm on the ball. But usually from 6 to 10, it's like I shut down, and I don't want to take, unless it's a contractual time is of the essence deadline that I have to meet. I don't feel like we should be doing real estate after 6 o'clock. I don't. Again, unless it's something that needs to be addressed, like a deadline on an offer at 9 p.m. Of course I'm going to do that. But I'd rather, just because I talk for a living and you guys talk for a living, I know that sometimes you need that downtime just to not speak, just to be. So that's what he put in there. Heather, do your journaling. I mean, this is, I journal and I do all my appointments between that time frame. I take 30 minutes to do it. And this is the Passion Planner. If anybody wants to know about that, I'm sure you guys could find a link and put it on there. I've gotten a lot of recommendations on what I'm doing and how I'm keeping track of my calendar. And Andy's been awesome at that too, because I have 3 separate calendars: my phone, this Passion Planner, and then another calendar. So it's like I was confusing myself. So he really
so you consolidated
helped me out.
all that into the Passion Planner, so everything is written down.
Right now,
Narrowed it
because
down to
I
2.
don't. 2. The phone first, and then in that 6 to 10 time frame, that's when I fill this out. Yeah.
Great. So it's almost like a visualization exercise. You're taking it and translating
That's
it from
exactly
the
right.
phone onto your calendar. It's perfect.
That's exactly
And
right.
I'm a
So
super
basically we're
visual
using
person.
that. Yeah. And that's why, right there. So if she wasn't a visual person, I wouldn't care about her writing it down or solidifying it, concreting that schedule through writing it out if she wasn't a visual person. But because she is, writing it down is going to concrete that. It's going to solidify that schedule even more so that she's not going to break it,
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been working on with my mentor is, that visualization exercise in the morning right before you dive in. So like for me, it's 6:45. And just like my only calendar is my phone, right? It's Google Calendar synced across everything. So it's not really the phone, it's just everything. But anyway, like just going through and looking at, okay, this is going to go well. This is going to be fun. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then in between, I'm going to do this, this, and all that. Just visually going through. And Andy, that's a great way to do it. Like she's already using multiple calendars. So having her write it out becomes this kind of visualization exercise where you almost visualize success for the day before you've even started. So very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah. And it's also makes me feel better, and it makes me, once it's all on paper, then I almost feel like this calmness where I am able to get a good night's sleep. And because it's done. I'm not dreaming, thinking, about real estate, about, appointments, other appointments when it comes to kids, I put everything in here. That's why it's all highlighted and color coded, based on all my real estate stuff is highlighted in green because that's money.
Okay.
So there's a method to my madness, and it's working. And my clients are seeing this huge difference in my customer service. Huge. Because with my follow-up plan that Andy has me on, making sure, if I have nothing to say, I still call them. Hey, how you doing? And every time I do call them, it's asking for those referrals. And that's a whole nother different topic about referrals, and how to ask for them. So,
Hey, Heather, are you finding yourself that you're getting more done by doing less and that you're not running around so scatterbrained?
yes.
Andy is, all of you guys on iTunes, he is doing the victory V above his head on that comment. But I mean, it is true. There's a book that I know Andy has read, Matt has read. I actually start to sleep with it. But it's actually Andy just spit out water. But it's the book, Prosperous Coach, and in that book, they talk about the fact there was a coach that he was making about $250 a year. He slowed everything down, and he started making about it was a 650, 750, some stupid number in like 6 weeks. He jumped his productivity through the roof. And actually, my brother-in-law, who is a extremely successful contractor and carpenter and everything else, very, very big business he built. He and I were talking the other day, and he's doing the same thing that you're talking about, Andy, and that what Heather's doing is he just slows down. All he has to do right now is put one bid out a day. That's his entire goal. Put one bid out a day. That's it. And his business is going through the roof. And I think a lot of us, we run around crazy, like, because we feel like society and ourselves and our spouses and our kids and TV and every other aspect of our lives tells us to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. When around, if you just pump the fucking brakes and just relax, business will come to you. I know Matt and I have talked about it a lot of the times. Like, whenever I'm out with my handy dandy iPhone and I'm sitting at a Starbucks, or he and I are chatting or something like that, business will come to me. And I know it happens to Heather and Andy and everyone else here on the show, when you just kind of relax and kick it for a minute. And Heather, how does that make you feel? I mean, it feels good, doesn't it?
It does. It feels really good. And if you put the effort in, business is going to come from one source or another. Like, if you seriously put the work in, even though it wouldn't come from expireds or, because I do a lot of mailings, it's going to come from somewhere if you're putting the work in. But if you're just sitting there, watching, keeping up with the Kardashians, which Andy knows I got rid of cable 3 months ago. It's probably one of the best things that I've ever done. It was too distracting for me, and I wanted to eliminate. It is.
I was just say Kim's ass is too big. It has to take up 2 TV screens. You need like a 75-incher to get the entire butt.
Not even that. Just watching, all the real estate shows, the flip and flop. You can laugh, Matt.
He's dying right now. That's the second nose pinch I've gotten from him. Andy almost spit out water, and Matt's pinched his nose for a consecutive, 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
Wasn't this supposed to be the episode where you shut up, Greg, because you weren't feeling well?
Yeah.
How did what happened here?
I think it's feeling better.
I'm feeling better now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Fantastic. It's a treat for all of us.
But I'm just I'm making small changes in life, and it's working.
That's
and
right there.
It's a progress.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, yes, they may be small changes, but they are like the consistency stuff is so big because the cumulative effect over time. Like when we start digging into one of the things that I'm working, Greg, on the back end of our mastermind is just putting together kind of our tracking system. And one of the unique things about that is you look at the cumulative numbers, right? So not just, well, if I make 20 calls a day at the end of the week, I'll have 120 calls. It's when you start adding that up and you start seeing the cumulative numbers over week after week after week after week of doing that same thing consistently, you start to see the numbers go up and you realize, okay, like it seems like small changes and that they may on a daily basis be true, but the cumulative effect over time is huge. So, I mean, I don't want to downplay, Heather, like the changes that you've implemented because consistency is extremely tough.
So I think it's also where, and in the first couple of conversations, I was, it was pretty obvious what the reasons were that she was using. So I'm using 3 calendars, right? Or I go home and I watch TV or I do whatever. So removing the reasons in order to get to the results, that was a really, really simple thing for her. And then she actually, so where I applaud Heather is that she actually took it and said, okay, what other reasons do I have? And she started to remove those reasons faster than anybody else that I'm honestly coaching. I mean, between canceling cable, getting her house and her home office organized, I mean, it was simply removing every single reason so that she could get to the results.
That's awesome. Well, let's dive in, Heather, a little bit on the. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I am a very efficient person, and that's why I don't have an assistant. That's why I don't have a team. because I can knock out a closing file in 5 minutes, whereas an admin, it would take 2 hours, and it would take too much work for me to train them. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm I hate to say a controlling person, and I like
for one, am
that.
shocked.
I don't know. Is that a joke?
Yeah, we're not surprised. This is what a lot of top producers suffer from that. So you're definitely not alone.
Yes, it's a joke. We do joke a lot. Anytime there's a statement, like, and there's like, we have that pregnant pause behind it. Yes, just be like, fuck off, Matt. And then everyone laughs and it's good.
But I'm just saying, I feel like I'm working less, but producing more based on all of Andy's help. And I mean, I'm even learning things about myself that Andy doesn't even know that we'll share down the road. That's really just making my family life go smoother. My friends and my family and things are just all falling into place, just like what you said, Matt. Everything will fall into place once you make certain changes. So that's what I wanted to mention.
You found to be the biggest change in your life that's had the biggest impact. I mean, it could be a small change. Is it cable? Is it getting one calendar? I mean, what is that thing that's really been awe-inspiring that Andy's brought you to, that you're like, holy shit, this is a small thing, but it's made a massive difference?
Accountability.
Accountability
I don't like
to
to disappoint. Accountability to him. And there's a reason that I picked him, and he knows the reason that I picked him. But I don't like to disappoint. I'm not perfect though. And I want to be successful. Yes, for me, the money's great. Now that's, wonderful. But I don't want to disappoint other people. I don't want to disappoint my clients. I don't want to for sure disappoint Andy. Andy's really working hard with me. So, that would be the biggest thing.
So I think it's something, Greg and Matt, for the other listeners to take notes on too, because certain people are motivated by different things, right? So if it's where Heather's saying, all right, I need to lean in and I'm not going to disappoint, her personality style is that of a people pleaser. And she wants people to be happy, and she wants to people to be, to be there and support and be proud of what she's doing. And she's motivated by that, and I have other clients that aren't. And those clients, it's a completely different relation. Like I have clients that, could tell me to go screw off, and then the next week, like they're just making leaps and bounds in terms of their progress and their production and their performance. But, for Heather particularly, it's been a very tight relationship when we are on the phone. And I mean, even to phone calls at 9:30 at night when we have to, but we do that so that she's moving herself forward, moving the needle forward. And honestly, like this is why I started my own coaching business and with my coaching mission. It's specifically because I'm vested in my clients' journey. It's not just, hey, call me once a week and let me be that accountability partner. That's sure as hell is not it. So,
yeah,
Heather wants to reach out to me. She knows how to get in touch with me.
I sure do.
The thing about that is finding that accountability partner, guys. And any of you guys who are listening to this right now, please, for the love of all that's holy on God's green earth, do not pick your spouse as your accountability partner.
Oh no.
God, marriage is hard enough. I mean, good Lord, why put another 10,000 pounds on top of that? I mean, even business partners. I mean, Matt and I are business partners. I mean, even sometimes when he and I hold each other accountable, it's good, but it's a little hard at times. But you need to find sometimes
your big
that
fight
third
that
person.
you had.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between like structural accountability and like emotional, relational accountability, right? So, Andy, I mean, you can have an accountability partner where you have a regular call set up, and just the structure of that will improve your performance, because just you showing up and having to tell anybody, it could be like the Prosperous Coach talks about, if you walk outside and talk to a lamppost every day, that lamppost has value. And so having an accountability partnership or a relationship like that, where it's literally just get on a call with somebody, tell them what you did last week, that will raise your performance a certain level. But unless you give that person emotional and relational right to speak into your life and hold you accountable on like an emotional level and like use emotional leverage of your goals, that you won't go to the next level. Right. So there's a difference between like having an accountability partner, like a fellow agent that you're both at the same level, versus working with somebody that's a coach or a mentor where they're way above you and you've given them the permission and the right to emotionally hold you accountable to what you say you're going to do. Like that. It's just, it's two different things.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
100%.
So Heather, I want to bring out a little bit on the shift, right? Because I think people are very fascinated by the idea of going from cold prospecting, cold outbound especially, like expired listings and things like that, to more of a database based business, right? A business that's based around their inner circle relationships and reaching out. And you mentioned some of the calls that you're making, things like that, and the social media aspect of things. But I want you to tell me a little bit more about how that transition, how did you guys execute that? And what does your business look like now that things are starting to shift in that direction and you're not so cold outbound based?
Okay. And first, I do want to mention I only cold called my first 3 months in the business. I've never then picked up the phone. So I'm not a prospector. So yes, I prospect, but it's via solicitation. So what I know now has to happen is that database has to be perfected. So one of the ways that I worked with Andy on is picking my top 100 clients, my Fab 100, that I'm going to concentrate solely on taking care of them, nurturing them, and reaching out to them as much as I can, not just to get a referral, but just to say, hey, how's the house going? I'm in the neighborhood, or can I stop by sometimes, see the remodeling things? And that's so out of my norm. Like I never do that. And I've told Andy my typical is I close the deal and then it's like they go away. Like it's my fault. It's not their fault. It's my fault. I do want to reach out to them more because I do want them to give me, because I do get a lot of referral business, past client business, but it should be a lot more being 24 years in the business. So one thing that I did do is there's this magazine that I sent out for the holiday season, and it's basically structured, all around, holiday recipes, real estate articles.
I think we had Luke Acree from I think their company is the one that puts that magazine out, if I remember right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I sent out 100 of these. This went out November 11th. I've gotten 4 listings because of this, totaling 1.6 million.
Wow.
And 3 of those sellers are buying. So that's what I wanted to, discuss a little bit if we have time, converting sellers into buyers, because you got to get them to convince them to sell. Once you convince them to sell, then I don't even have to convince them to buy through me. They are so confident that I'm going to get the job done for them, and I'm an expert in timing, so I'm double dipping. So that 1.4 million in listings is probably going to turn into, depending on if they're moving up or down, could be $2.5 million out of a $99, 99 bucks. I mean, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
so
that's incredible. Very, very cool.
That will be sent out 6 times a year to my top 100. And I might expand that. I might expand that to my top 200 once Andy gets on me about, okay, you got your 100 and let's get your top 200. He exceeds my goals, and that's what I needed. And that's why I honestly reached out to him. So if anybody's looking for a coach, and I know there's a lot of coaches out there, and I talk to a lot of the coaches out there, and I just needed a good match for me. And I feel Andy was a good match because I hate to say he's kind of the jack of all trades. He responds to a bunch of different people, teams or single agents, depending on what they're doing in their life, or somebody that's just doing 2 million or 200 million. You know what I'm saying? So he knows my goals and about me. And we relate really well together that way.
So Andy, with that in mind, let's talk to maybe a team or to a new agent. What are a couple of things that not to give away your trade secrets, but I mean, what's
What the
something
hell
that
do I care? Come on.
okay, hey, fuck that shit. I mean, okay, let's be real. So let's talk about December of 2017 where we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
What we're the first of the month, so we have 20 days, give or take, until we all shut down mentally, emotionally, physically, and everything else for the end of the year. What can they do right now? Where, how can they start this flywheel into motion, like Heather is doing? What's something you can kind of put that cattle prod up their rear end to get them moving?
Well, right now, if they're starting right now, they're starting too late, first and foremost. So learn from that and then start next year in October instead of fucking December. So pardon my frankness there, but that's first and foremost. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
second
the only
is-
one that hasn't sworn here.
Well, get on the boat, woman. Damn.
So-
Uncensored.
It's fine.
Real estate,
Go ahead, Andy.
it is called Real Estate Uncensored. No, I'm messing. So I think it's that's first and foremost. So learn that lesson, right? Learn when you actually need to start for the next year. Because, I mean, right now, if they're starting right now, it's now time to double down, right? So double down on the
Okay.
lead generation, double down on the prospecting, double down on the lead follow-up, double down on the relationship building. Like now is the time, because you're not going to, people need to stop kidding themselves. They're not going to set 9 to 11 appointments every single week at this point in time. So
No.
get people on your past clients and go set up appointments with them right now. Set up breakfast appointments, set up lunch appointments, set up afternoon appointments, set up pop buys, like those holiday calls. Everything right now needs to just double down to build towards first quarter of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're a team, the teams that I coach, if they're between 1 and 2, probably 1 and 3 agents, I would say that their listing pipeline has to be really 60 for first quarter of 2018. Otherwise, they're behind the 8 ball.
Mhm.
So if that number is not there right now, it's you need to start calling the here and now business, and the here and now business is going to be your expireds, your for sale by owners, people that are going to get frustrated, and then obviously your clients at that point in time.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me bring this one to you real quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Greg. There was a really
It's
great comment here
unacceptable, man. Unacceptable.
from David. I know, totally. How dare I? But I kind of asked in the Facebook comments here, like what everybody's biggest challenge is, and there was a really interesting one, and I wanted to kind of bring this to you because I think a lot of people struggle with this. It's from David. He says the biggest challenge in 2018 is identifying the number of sales transactions I actually want. 36 in his case is 36 or 60, and then having an accountability person who's just as driven as he is. I think a lot of people struggle with that. Andy,
I'm gonna rip this apart if that's okay.
Okay, please do.
Please. Please.
So first and foremost, the number doesn't freaking matter. Oh, dropped his pen.
Yeah,
Did you
as
get it?
usual. I did.
Nice. All right. So the number doesn't matter if you do not have an emotional tie to the number. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a theory on that, but I'm interested to see what you have to say about it. So
I'm
when you say
curious
the
to see what the
numerical
theory
goal
is.
doesn't, no, you speak first, and then I'll give you the theory afterwards.
So if your floor is 30 transactions, you're never going to do over 30 transactions. You need to raise the psychological necessity behind it,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? It needs to become a must, a non-negotiable item. Otherwise, it's just a whimsical want. It's not a need. So you can sit there and say that you want 36 or 52 transactions or 60, but if you don't have an emotional need behind it, a psychological need behind it, if it's not negotiable, if it's not a must, you're not there yet.
I absolutely love that.
Finding, well, thank you.
I really do, is because everybody, and Andy, you hear it all the time. People want to double their business, but they have no reason for that. It's a pretty number. It's like making $100,000. There's no
Right.
fucking rhyme or reason to it. It's like, what do you want to do? $100,000. Why?
It just sounds nice.
He's like, it's got a bunch of zeros. Okay.
Right.
Why don't you add another zero to it, make it $1 million? I mean, if we're just picking numbers, but I mean, the emotional tie behind it, I think, is something that's critical. And I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm thinking about my next year of business and the aspirations and the goals that Matt and I are setting forward in our team that we're building and other things that we're doing. And, that really hit home with me. So I hope you guys really understood and took that away. That was a great point, Andy.
Thank you. So I think that's first and foremost, right? So then the second, the back end of that is then finding ways it's okay for people not to hit goals. It's like I can't tell you the number of times in my life that I've set a goal and not hit it and been like, meh, okay, cool, right? But if it's a promise, like if I set a promise, I'm not going to freaking break the promise, especially if it's the promise to myself, to my kids. Come hell or high water, I'm going to hit that, right? I'm going to achieve that, fulfill that, no matter what. So like that's where I want that number to go. So if I were to encourage David to go, one place is again to tie emotion to it, to raise the psychological necessity behind it, and then find a way to then promise yourself and then get intentional behind it as well. So now break it down into strategic milestones. And then from those strategic milestones, which are 12 monthly strategic milestones, this is what I absolutely must do every single month for these promises. Then you're going to break down that first milestone in the first 4 or 5 weeks, however weeks in that month it actually has, right? So you break that down. Now you have intention every single week. Now, if you actually just implement your scheduling disciplines and you get intentional the night before and saying, hey, these 3 things are going to move the needle forward so I can hit this milestone this month, you'll fulfill the damn promise. You know?
Yeah.
So, well, and what I have found, Andy, oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go.
What I have found, Andy, in the last 4 months with you is the promises that I have made to myself. They felt so gratifying that it's like I want to do more, and it gets addicting. It literally is an addiction. So I would not, if I were to have one recommendation for everybody out there on lead gen and Real Estate Uncensored, it's to not overpromise or an underdeliver. Just like what we tell our sellers, don't overpromise, because then you set yourself up for disappointment. And I don't want to be disappointed. I want to achieve the goals that I want to achieve. And I feel like how much he has me doing is enough for right now, because it's a transition from going through, for now. I knew you were going to say something like that. But I mean, it was just basically going from, day to day, what I usually do and just, going through the motions, versus now I have a structured system and I feel so much better when I can check off the boxes, cross stuff off. And that's, again, for me, because I'm a visual person. Or like you, Matt, on your phone, you can check off. I'm sure you have checklists on your phone, checking that off. I mean, it feels very accomplishing, as little as going to the grocery store or, I mean, just the little things.
I was watching Grant Cardone this morning, and he was talking to a guy that wanted to, I think he wanted to make $120,000 a year or something easy. So he immediately broke it down to you have to make $10,000 a month. How do you make $10,000 a month? Right. And he broke it down to the stupid small stuff. You have to make $300 a day. So get someone to pay you $300. Go get 3 people to pay you $100 each, or go get a bunch of people to pay you $30. 100 people pay you $30. And it's when you break it down to that minute detail, those small tangible parts of life, instead of 10,000. Fuck, how am I gonna make 10 grand in 1 month? Well, okay, let's break it down daily. What's your daily hour productivity? And the tracking sheet that my dad, the Grand Master, came up with, we can track down to the minute of what my value is doing outbound prospecting and door knocking calls, networking, whatever it is. So you know where to spend your time. I mean, Andy, I'm sure you have a tracking sheet, but if someone wanted to start tracking stuff, and Heather, you're probably already doing it, when you make that mental shift, and Heather, when you first made that, how did it become addictive, and how hard was it to get to that first milestone to start wanting to do it again?
Because I'm a sponge, and whatever I put in my brain, if I don't do it, then I'm disappointing myself. I'm not disappointing Andy, which, I would feel like it, but I'm disappointing myself. I'm setting my goals very high, the highest they've ever been. I'm going to make 50 grand a month next year. I mean, there's no question about it. I'm going to do it because, I'm going to put my 40 hours a week in. Right now, before meeting with Andy, I told him I'm bored. I'm working 20 hours a week. I'm not doing what I should be doing. And I'm still making 25 grand a month. So I know I have more potential. I'm only going to be young. I'm going to do this another 20 years. I'd really like to build up, you know, a net worth where I can, you know, go to Arizona, and that's my goal. That's my vision. And I'm a visionary. You know, my first year in the business, and this is really funny, I started in October of 1996. I visioned myself on stage getting Rookie of the Year, which is a kind of a ballsy, there's my swear word. It's kind of a ballsy move when
We
there's
gotta
only
step that
3
up a
months
notch.
left.
That's just normal conversation on this show. If you I mean, come on, that's PG-13 at best.
I gotta keep it clean my first time, otherwise Matt won't have me back. But
It's okay.
I mean, that really is, I mean, for me being 21, 22 years old, not knowing anybody that's going to buy or sell, like nobody, I'm knocking on doors in the freezing cold. I'm calling expireds. I'm doing open houses. I'm doing everything that I was taught to do in that 2-week training program. And in just 3 months, I ended up getting, like I said, Rookie of the Year. But I visioned myself on stage, and that's what I'm visioning for next year. That 50 grand a month, whether it's January or September, it's going to happen every single month. Yeah, some months it'll be 65, some months it'll be, you know, 35. It all equals out, but it's going to happen.
Starting with
I
that
think people also have
visualization
to-
is the biggest thing. No, after you. Go ahead, Andy. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's good. We've had that like 6 times happen where 3 people are talking at the same time. It's awesome. So I think it's people understanding. There's another nose pinch, by the way, from the Johnson right there.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yes, you got
Yeah.
one. That's amazing. Good work.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks
Man.
you are
Like,
the
if
first
this-
person
yeah.
to ever get a nose pinch beyond me. That's amazing. That's good stuff.
I don't know if how true that is. I'm sure there's somebody else that got a nose pinch out of me, but Greg is the master at that. But yeah,
I'm gonna try to go for 2.
Adam Carolla, if he was on this podcast, would be screaming about how this is bad radio.
Well, I'll tell you what. I got 9 more minutes to get a second nose pinch. So let's do this. So, so I think it's also understanding in your business, and not only in your business, but I think people will track their business more than they'll track their actual life as well, right? So, a lot of you just gave me the eyebrow. Oh. So I think it's because business is like the easy part, right? But like if you're looking at the habits, disciplines, and mindsets that you implement every single day, those are the hard things to track. So through coaching, and I have people actually track, and we call it the Ascension Tracker, go figure. But it's actually what they're either implementing, they're either building up or unweaving habits that are either holding them captive or propelling them forward, right? So like we actually track that stuff as well. Heather's not there just yet. She will be soon.
I was going to say, oh, great. Now this is coming.
Yep. So it's also understanding what people can actually track, because what gets measured gets done, right? What gets measured gets done. So if in your business, the key leading indicator is the number of appointments that you go on every week. If you have a relationship business like Heather, where it's, you know, hey, I need to see this number of people, track the relationships that you're developing. And I see like lots of confusion going on from the Johnson. So, but it's basically, you know, if it's a relationship business and I need to go on 7 appointments this week, track the 7 appointments, but track that key leading indicator as well. So is it number of connections that you make? Is it the number of relationships that you're going to generate and the relationships that you cultivate in order to set those appointments? Whatever the key leading indicator is what you want to track in your business. And the same thing with, again, your personal life. So
sorry, I have all kinds of weird things going through my head.
I'm curious to see what the confusion was from Matt.
Yeah. What was that whole?
He's trying to contain it right now. He's like, I don't know who to yell at, either Andy or Greg, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be me.
Yeah, exactly. No. All right. So yeah, this is it's really good, Andy, because we could do a whole nother episode on that. But anyway, my theory on this, going back to the kind of the goals, and Andy, you mentioned having an emotional investment in it. I think there's a lot of goal setting based on what sounds good to other people or based on what sounds good to us. But we don't with our unconscious or subconscious, whatever you want to call it, we don't agree with it, right? So we set a goal with our conscious mind, but the unconscious is going, nah. Like,
this honestly is why I don't agree with affirmations.
Yep. Because most of the time we're very bad at creating affirmations that are in agreement with our unconscious.
Yeah, and then our subconscious sits there and says, "You're full of crap," and it will actually argue against us, and then our subconscious is going to actively look for ways that we are full of crap. Like
it is very
But
true. That's where I use the Sedona method a lot on that, and I release that energy, and I do it a lot. I mean, I've talked about it a ton of times. Sedona is so easy. It's you own the feeling or emotion that you're having. Then you ask yourself, not 4, 3. I can do math, I promise. 3 questions. 1, could I release it? Yeah, it's 2 questions. 2. But you become one with the emotion or feeling. Then you ask the 3 questions. Could I release it? Would I release it? When? And you say yes or no to either one of those first 2 questions. Do not banter back and forth. Say yes or no to either one, and then give yourself permission to say release it right then or whenever you can. Guys, that emotion that we're talking about a second ago, of telling ourselves we're full of shit, you can get rid of it like that if you use the Sedona method. And yes, it's so simple. People think I'm full of shit, and Matt's giving me a wonky look. He's doing a lot of wonky looks today.
He is.
You two out together last night?
No, he's in San Diego.
Just kidding.
But I mean, the Sedona method. I mean, Heather, for you, for Andy, for Matt, for anyone listening. I mean, just try it, guys. Go look it up, Sedona method, and try it out.
Looking it up.
I will look that up, but I do want to add in that I know affirmations don't work, in my respectful opinion, but I've been listening to a lot of motivational things on YouTube to get me pumped up in the morning, and they honestly, truly, totally work. And I feel like I'm unstoppable. So that would be some advice that I would have. Google anything. The Unbroken one, the motivational one that Aaron Wittenstein got, sent a leak on. I think I listen to that thing 3 times a day whenever I feel like, I'm having a little, little pouting attack in the corner with my blankie sucking my thumb because I lost the deal. I listen to stuff like that, and then I get re-energized and get on the phone or, to follow up with a deal, not to cold call, but just to get back into the swing of things, because we all have hard times. Nobody's perfect, and you are going to have difficult things that you got to get through. So
yeah, you really do. And we're having tech issues right now. Matt, I can't unmute you either, bud. It's not letting me do it. So if you want to pop out super quick and pop back in, maybe that'll let you back in. But I completely agree with you. I for years, and I still do it. And when I'm doing outbound calls or anything else, I'm listening to Les Brown. I'm listening to Tony Robbins. I'm listening to, the list goes on and on and on and on. The compilations of all those guys that are out there. And it's not like it's something I'm learning new. It's like that tidbit that you're picking up for that moment that you need it. You're like, aha. That is the piece that I needed. I mean, I tell the story a lot, but years ago I was listening to Will Smith, and he was in a compilation of inspirational, talks and everything else. And he talked about, you just need to decide, just make a choice, and the universe will get out of your way. Will get out of your way. Obviously, Andy and I listen to the same things, but I made a decision that day to be.
You'll take away what you want. You'll take away what you want and what will implement your business and what you do. I don't do your kind of business. You don't do my kind of business. I don't do. So we have 3 different kinds of businesses that we do. And yes, those things, you'll take away the things that will work for you. You won't take away at all, because, I mean, what's the reason? So,
yeah,
Matt,
exactly. Yeah, Matt's gone, guys. He had tech issues. All right, guys, we got to wrap this thing up. Heather, you're amazing. Andy, you're also always amazing. So, Heather, let's start with you. Just for the people who are either tuning in late or didn't write it down the first time, where are you and where are they geographically for referrals, and how can they physically get a hold of you to give you those referrals?
Hi, my name is Heather Windsor, Shore West Realtors. I'm in the state of Wisconsin, in the Milwaukee metro area. My cell phone is 414-659-0932. Email is hwindsor@shorewest.com.
That is fantastic. Good job on that one. That was he wasn't even here, and we got his jingle.
That's right.
Andy, where can we get a hold of you, my friend?
Oh, there's Mr. Johnson. Well,
I know he's still
muted
muted,
again.
though.
Yeah,
Now you can all stop talking and let me talk.
Oh, wait, hold on. Andy
well,
Andy
we're
is
already
giving his
wrapping
piece
this
here.
up.
No, I'm just kidding. Go
You
ahead.
know,
Yeah, so
Andy,
where can we get a hold of you?
well, it's Facebook is probably the easiest way. Just follow or like Pillar 9 Coaching. You can also friend me. I am not at the 5,000 friend limit. Limit's a fun word, but I'm not at the 5,000 friend limit just yet. I am today, though. So today actually launches, and I apologize for the plug, guys, but it is what it is. So I am launching the pre-registration for my new 13-month intensive Ascension to Peak program. So it's 13 months of coaching. It's an hour a week of 12 to 20 individuals every week, along with an hour of question and answer, and 13 months of peak performance content that's dripped strategically, along with real estate business over the next 13 months as well. So that is now open. You can go to ascensiontopeak.com. Sorry, a la Gene Volpinator.
Nice. Okay, I was going to say, quoting the Gene, the Volpinator. I like it.
That's right.
That's awesome. I think you guys really need to take him up on that, guys. If you guys really want to blow the doors off your business, don't fuck around with this, okay? Get down in the weeds, get your
And
shit
it's
together.
pre-registration, so I'm only
Call
taking
him.
100 people.
And I'm already taking up 2 spots, so you guys are fucked. Get moving.
It's like
All
a
right.
Kardashian. Anyway.
Just like on an airplane, Greg is only taking up 2 seats.
All right, somebody
not
wrap
live.
us up.
All right, so Matt, let's do this really quick, guys. If you guys are looking for
Yes.
coaching, Matt is doing his coaching. Go to Book Johnson, not Book a Big Johnson, because we all know that's a dirty, dirty site. But bookjohnson.com, and and you guys can go. Seriously, all joking aside, I mean, Matt and I fuck around all the time, but seriously, Matt is the best I've ever come across. They try to keep me in line, as well as put systems and really get nitty gritty with your business. Get real with it. So if you resonate with Andy, hire Andy. If you resonate with Matt, hire Matt. I mean, that's why he and I work so well together. He tries to corral me. I wildly run free like a pony on the plains of Montana, but he can't. And I got a nose pinch.
An unbridled stallion.
Unbridled.
That was the biggest one so far.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a glorious, majestic image that sadly is way too close to the truth.
Glorious.
But seriously, go hire Matt, guys. If you guys are looking for someone to coach, or at least do a consultation with them, I'd highly recommend it. And you guys go like us, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher. Give us a review, please, guys, and tell a friend, family member, your pet, and your goldfish about us, so that we can help more people. And if you don't do real estate, just get a fucking laugh and have a good day. And then, of course, bookmcdaniel.com, guys, where you can look at me for doing coaching. If you don't resonate with Andrew or Matt, I will be the 3rd place winner. So I will be the bronze winner on the stand today for coaching promotions. But guys, as always, Matt, before I close this out 100%, any final words from the great Johnson?
Well, yes. Specifically, they should hire you for coaching because you're one of the best cold call prospectors on the face of the earth. And if they want to do that, if they need to increase their performance in that, as anyone that's seen your live prospecting calls on Facebook can attest, you are extremely good. So if they need coaching on phrasing, tonality, scripting, and consistency in the way that they generate leads by outbound cold calling, you are the master. So that's why they should hire you. That's why they should go to bookmcdaniel.com. So I just want to point that out.
Well, thanks. If you need other consistency, eat prunes on a daily basis. All right, guys. We love having you on this show. We love watching you guys interact with us. Leave a comment. But until next time, guys, peace out, ninjas. We gone.